Hello, and welcome. My name is MiniBetrayal, and this is Factorio, episode 46, or 1 per minute, episode 0, depending which series you're coming at this episode from. So this is the end of my original Factorio series, and also a sort of beginning explanation of Factorio 1 per minute, which I will explain presently. This is my base as it stands at the beginning of episode 45, the previous episode. I would be showing you the base as it was at the end, but I've actually forgot to save the map immediately after the end of the episode. So there's not that much missing other than the nuclear setup down here. Episode 45 was my power's gone, so I built a nuclear setup, and I was going to let it build up. So I did let it build up, but while it was building up, there was a lot of waiting around. Power did start going, and it was working. The base was doing things again. I started running out of resources, so I built an outpost, and I must admit, things got a little bit away from me. And I did a lot more work than I really should have between episodes. So in the end, I got to the point where it was like, okay, let's just finish up here. We've already launched rockets. This base is kind of, air quotes, finished anyway. So let's just get to a point where I'm ready to start the next series and do a proper base tour. So let's do that now. Okay, and this is the base as it stands now. So you see, most of the sort of actual base, no actual changes there. We have our uranium set up down here. I've filled in this. I've also engineered this in such a way that this whole nuclear fuel thing will only turn on when it's needed. We've got our uranium processing and Cobra-X down there. What I'm going to do though, we'll just zoom out a little bit. I've done a lot more exploring. I've pushed the biters way back. I've pushed them back a reasonable amount on this side as well. It doesn't look like it, but yeah, the only way any of these biters can get to me is via this land bridge. Let me just zoom out. Yeah, so they're not coming. These ones here, either this matches up somewhere down there and the biters would have to run all the way down there and back up to get to me, and then across that tiny little land bridge, or the only other place it could meet up is like down here. So I'm not worried about them, even though some of these ones here are in pollution range. Okay, so, oh yes, other news. Some of my deposits have run out. I think Copper 2 may have actually been new last episode, or the episode before. Whoops. That's now run out, and I'm on Copper 3 over here. We're all the way up to Coal Outpost 4. And I think this iron deposit down here is new as well. Anyway, the base itself is mostly backed up because it's not doing a lot at the moment. In terms of the base tour... Oh, I'm stuck. Help. I'm still stuck. I got in there. I should be able to get out right. Alright, let's put them back. Okay, what I'm going to do is start at the eastern end of my bus, work west, and just show you everything. So even if you haven't seen the rest of my just Factorio series, you'll be able to get an idea of what has been done so far. So starting up here, we have, this is our train depot. Iron and copper are both delivered here, as well as coal. Iron and copper both have 2 stations which they can unload at. Copper has... Is it just the 6 trains, I think? Yeah, 6 trains. and only space for 6 trains. Iron has space for 9 trains with this extra siding there, only has 8 at the moment. If we have a look at the belts, you see they're not really moving at the moment. Coal goes up to feed those trains, of course, and then all of these materials get fed down into these large smelting arrays here. Copper just goes into smelting. This little bit here splits off 2 belts of iron ore, which goes straight into steel smelting. The coal circles around the side this way, gets diverted so this prioritizes going down to the bus first and feeds everything else towards the power area here. And I've noticed there's a couple of things. Yeah, as I was running out of coal a little bit earlier, the power itself didn't dip because the nuclear setup managed to cope with that very well. Yeah, I think that was it. Yes, so we have, how many of these have we got? We have 640 steam engines, which can produce, and I promise you I'm not getting out my calculator here, 576 megawatts of electricity. So over half a gigawatt. We're not using much at the moment. This is basically just idle running. We do have quite a few beacons around. Okay. The factory as it stands is about, I would estimate it's about a half a gigawatt factory. It's never all been running at once, so I'm not certain. But anyway, the steam setup can cope with the whole factory, but it does occasionally run out of coal. If it runs out of coal, we have 2 things here that will first try to deliver it solid fuel, and will then try to deliver it rocket fuel in an attempt to avoid having to use nuclear power. But then the nuclear power will switch on. Okay, moving down. So we have 2 belts of steel. Now, because it's only being fed by 2 belts of iron ore, this is really only like 2/5 of 1 belt, but I've got 2 belts there. Those 3 belts of coal condense down to 1. We have 8 belts of iron plates and 8 belts of copper plates. And that forms up the majority of our bus. Copper, iron, coal, steel. The next 4 belts, actually, running backwards, are delivering from later down in the bus to science labs. We have, how many science labs do we have? 36. I think it was like 34 and a half I need to use up 2 science per second, because these have a speed of 250% at the moment, or an additional 250% I should say, and they the science takes like 60 seconds each at this point in the game anyway. Oh yes, talking of science, I have done all of the non-infinite sciences, as well as a number of is it the bullet damage ones I've done? Yes, I've done bullet damages 7 and 8. Okay. Red science, making 2 per second. Fairly standard at this point. A little bit of circuits. Don't have much in the way of circuits. Most circuits I use are made on site, wherever they are needed. Green science, much the same. Then we have military science. If you look at the map here, It's also showing you can just about see it on the minimap as well. Some military science there. Any surplus grenades and armor piercing ammo, piercing rounds, magazines, are being put into provider chests. My logistics network is not too dissimilar from what it was earlier. There's an interesting shaped gap in there. But yes, science and then surplus goes towards that. Then we have gears, the vast majority of which ends up in one of these machines. So this here is kind of like our shopping mall kind of area. We've got our belts, we have inserters, we have assemblers, power poles, pipes, miners, train stuff with engines just stuck in the middle of it. Anything that is going to be useful for the rest of the 1 per minute series that is not put into a provider chest somewhere on the base is made here. So we have logistics chests, just iron sticks not so much, but iron sticks are used in some of the recipes for these other materials. Lights, power stuff, stack filter inserters, because I never put them on there. What does it actually take to put them on? Stack inserter and an electronic circuit. I probably could just add them on the actual bus. But anyway, they're in there now. Those centrifuges, walls, you can see what's there. Down here, this is like my little staging area. We have a whole heap of buffer chests that request just about anything that I will want to use. That way, whenever I want something, I come here, and instead of dragging it from all over the base to get to me, it should, in theory, be taken from this area here, one of these chests. Something just occurs to me that I want to do something very slightly differently. Yes, what I'm going to do is put those in there, then set that to 20 like it was, because I want concrete. I think that fills it, doesn't it, for 800? Yeah. I've got refined concrete there already, but didn't have normal concrete. And then either side of it we just have storage chests for mainly just for stuff that I get rid of in my logistics trash. The wall, by the way, is because I have nuclear fuel in my tank, and if I am driving a nuclear fueled tank at anything approaching full speed, okay, so I'm pressing forwards. Okay, I'm now pressing and holding back on the keyboard. And it took that long to stop. First couple of times I did that, I may or may not have destroyed incredibly valuable material. Like you can see, there's 100 nukes in here. Things like that. This is a little thing we'll be playing with later. Okay, then we have just some rails cutting through the base. Stone is delivered directly to the bus from this train. Oil. We have 3 oil outposts, 1, 2 and 3. They are all now fully upgraded with level 3 modules and, I was going to say level 3 beacons, but I've just noticed 3 in the middle that I missed. But everything apart from those 3 has level 3 modules in it. Where am I? Over here. Same up in this one, and oil outpost 2. I've just seen another beacon with only level 1 modules in it. Didn't do a very good job with that, did I? As well as just a couple of little ones over here. That one's still running. Okay, oil setup. We're making flamethrower fuel there. A little bit of cracking. Now, this base does run into the continual problem that I have actually too much petrol, especially when things start shutting down, which means we have problems with solid fuel and rocket fuel. Solid fuel and rocket fuel are here. Again, this is designed to make 2 space science per second. This side here, I just wanted something that I could fuel my power with that wasn't coal. So I just copied this, removed the rocket fuel, because the solid fuel is actually slightly more efficient than rocket fuel. If you look at the numbers, like a solid fuel has a fuel value of 25 megajoules. Rocket fuel has 225 megajoules, but takes 10 solid fuel, so you actually lose out on 25 megajoules out of your 10 there. Yeah. Anyway, if you add in a uranium into that, it becomes a hell of a lot more efficient, but you don't really want to use nuclear fuel for steam engines. So yeah, I just took out the assemblers making the rocket fuel and stuck in another inserter. It's not very pretty, but it does the job. Underneath that we have... where actually am I? Let's move down. So this is my nuclear reactor setup. It's not perfectly ratioed, but you know, it looks nice enough. There are actually 2 separate power networks here. This one here is powered actually only by this solar panel and these 5 accumulators over here, but that network's job is, all it has to do is put stuff in the nuclear reactors, and it's got more than enough power than it needs to do that, because it doesn't even need to do that all the time. This circuit over here, yeah, so that one just reads the charge level. This one and that one, yeah, they form like a, what's the word called? Something like a falling edge detector. Basically, when this drops below 90% charge, I think it's set to 90, yeah, 90% charge, this stack inserter will move 4 of these. So 4 of the uranium fuel cells onto this conveyor around the edge. These input ones have a stack size of only 1, so they will go around, they will each get a nuclear fuel and start powering stuff. Okay, so where does that fuel come from? This area. So this is just a train that gets delivered sulfuric, no it doesn't, it gets delivered uranium fuel. It fills up with sulfuric acid. This just comes from a pipe up from the sulfur area. There's a very similar setup at the other end, just kind of backwards. The bottom row is all done. Anyway, uranium processing, which I always forget which one is which. 238 deep storage. Okay, now this is quite possibly the most over-engineered Covarex setup certainly I've ever designed. It's technically scalable. If you got rid of these bits on the end, which are not actually part of the Covarex, we've got the uranium ammo and the fuel cell production, you could scooch them on. This can just scale to the right there as much as you want. This Covarex setup will never back up. It will never run out, so it will always have enough of both fuels to keep itself running. It will never back up due to being unable to unload its product. It always keeps 1,235 in the logistics system. If it goes above 1,000 in the logistics system, it puts the U235 into this deep storage here. if the logistics system drops below 500, this stack inserter kicks on and starts putting things back into the logistics system. Let's see, CoverX normally takes 50 seconds, and these are sped up. Okay, so every 25 seconds, this system adds 12 U235 to the system. These 12 here. Why 12? Because that's the maximum size of a stack inserter. And at the same time, this will add one stack into this chest, and we'll start pulling from the other one. This one here is only requesting 12. This stack inserter will move any more than 12 into deep storage, or if there's more than 1,000 in the logistics system, it will just move everything it can. Yeah, you see, there it goes. So currently in deep storage we have about 3,000. The way it stops from backing up, this over here is a lane splitter. This bit here, much like the lane balancers we've had in the past. So this top row here comes out there, and this bottom row comes out there. So only the outputs of the CoverX here, which goes on the inside belt, comes up here. Only the outputs gets put in there, and remember, only 12 of them at a time, and there's 12 machines. So in theory, it should never back up anyway, just mathematically. In case it does back up, that's what this is for. Should these two belts between them have more than 13 on it, i.e. if this is backed up on both lanes to this point, this inserter will activate and start putting more stuff in that chest. If for any reason it drops below, whenever this belt is completely empty, this inserter kicks on, so there is a 13th, lucky number 13th centrifuge here, which will kick on, and it will slowly start building back up. Of course, every now and then, an extra thing will come in from the actual processing. It should... So, any gaps that come in the actual CoverX processing, this will take from this extra little buffer we've got here. If it backs up this far, though, I don't want it to back up all the way through the system, because then that causes problems for 238, which did actually happen. So that kicks on this, which just takes a bunch, yeah. We might see it happen. No, we're going to need one more to come through, because this needs at least 3 to kick on this, yeah. So that'll take a bunch, put them on there, and just stick them in the chest. Into deep storage. So yeah, incredibly over-engineered, but hey, it works and it will keep working. Okay, moving on. What have we got next? Okay, so we've got sulfur here, and into sulfuric acid, that goes around. Plastic up here. Whenever I've had a plastic shortage, it always bounces back and forth. I don't think I've had 2 in a row. It's always either petrol shortage, then coal shortage, then petrol shortage, then coal shortage. I could be wrong, but I'm not watching through the entire series again to verify that. Okay, after that we have red circuits. I did at one point double this. I'm not sure if that was before or after the last episode, but basically we have what is in theory 2 copper belts, or 2 copper plate belts I should say, going towards red circuits. Then blue science. Yep. Makes 2 blue science per second. Purple science makes 2 purple science per second. While we're here, we've got... This is my concreting setup. Concrete and landfill. There's landfill here as well. There's a little iron deposit here next to water. I thought, yeah, may as well. Stone is coming off the bus. So I don't think there's anything special to say about this, really. It makes all the different types of concrete. So concrete, hazard concrete, refined concrete, refined hazard concrete, and stone bricks, and landfill as well over here. Just coming straight off that. A little trick I pulled here. I think, yes, this belt here is... I'm not sure if it is the only one, but it's... Oh no, there are still a few yellow belts over here. I didn't get around to bluifying everything. It's the only functional yellow belt. If this was a blue belt here, because this is only taking 1 line in of stone, then everything would always be eaten by this. At least this way, at maximum, a third of that stone is eaten by the landfill. Okay, come back down on the other side of the bus. Yeah, so gears, engines, plastic red circuits on the bus, added to the bus, I should say, as well as sulfuric acid. The lubricant itself isn't really added on the bus. I was just trying to get it from A to B, and that's where it fit. But yeah, I guess it's there. Okay, yellow science is all of this bit, and that bit down there actually. So this thing here that you can sort of see repeated 1, 2, 3 times, that's a little module of mine that makes 1 blue circuit per second on average. That is not actually per adjusted second. That is actually per second. The reason for that is because if you look at what it takes to make a blue circuit, it takes 40 copper, just looking at the total raw there. And there is only 1 express belt, 1 blue belt of copper coming in, which is 40 items per second. So even the 1.25 crafting speed of the level 3 assemblers doesn't help, because there's not enough materials coming in to get 1.25. So this is actually 1 per second. You probably could tweak it with like productivity modules in the right places to maybe increase the output. I don't know. Can't be bothered to find out. I've just noticed that there is a random yellow belt there. Cool. Alright. Yes, so 3 per second is what's needed to make 2 yellow science per second, I think. Was yellow science? Yeah, 3 processing units needed to make 2 high-tech science packs. That is a lot of materials. When this is running, this eats, well, copper primarily. It eats 3 belts of copper, and they've only got 8 up there. That's not including this, which makes the level 1 speed modules, again just for yellow science, and a bunch of copper cable as well, and batteries. Okay, after that I have another 3 of these. These just add blue circuits onto the bus, because they are needed for some other materials. I've got a little bit of sort of robot-y stuff here, not used for science or anything, but they are requested by the buffer chests over here. I am going to need a lot of both of types of robots, as well as roboports. Yeah, so that just deals with robot stuff, logistics. Okay, over here we have speed modules, productivity modules, efficiency modules, made in spades. So, okay, this chest is limited to 1 stack, but at the other end of the base I'm requesting like 300 of them. This one is limited to a row, and over here, yeah, I'm requesting 500 of them over there. So 100 to, yeah, so I've got 1,000 of these things. I'm going to need an awful lot of them. And then we start bumping into Oil Outpost 1. Okay, above the bus, over here, this is our rocket setup. So we have lots of stuff. So we need 60 of these machines. Actually, I tell a lie. We need 60 of... Is it these ones? Yes, 60 of them. We actually need more in the way of low density structures, because low density structures are also used to make the satellite. But yeah, we need 60 rocket control units, machines, as well as an additional 30 things making speed module 1s. Which is why I didn't have them on the bus. This is all self-contained. Rocket fuel, I had a choice of either finding a way to get the liquid for the rocket fuel over here. I could make the solid fuel in the oil area and ship that over. Or I could make the rocket fuel in the oil area and ship that over. So that's what I've done in the end. This is just a train that goes back and forth with just the rocket fuel in it. The satellite just takes its materials directly off the end of the bus. And I believe is... Why is this not working? It's not making anything at the moment because I put a circuit network to say that if this belt is full of satellites, don't make any more. Well, actually it's saying if it's empty, do make more, because yeah, I was just backing up on satellites. Don't need that many. It should intrinsically be limited to 1 per... So... 1 per 500 seconds, just due to the crafting speed of, I think it's the accumulators and the solar panels together that limit it. But it's got enough to make 1 per 500 seconds, or 2 science packs worth per second. Then up here we have the rockets. This is my primary rocket. I have temporarily disabled it, but it does have its satellite in there. Ordinarily, whenever these two chests have any space science in them, it will not be fed any satellites. So that's just a manual thing I've done. These two, I've decided that I'd like to end the main series with a bit of a bang. So over here we've got a rocket ready to go with a fish in it, because I have never actually gotten the so long and thanks for all the fish achievement. Never done that. This one here, another thing I've never actually done, has a car in it. So at the end of the episode we'll actually launch all 3 of these and ride up with them. This system here is a little buffer. This is, in theory, 1 rocket's worth of stuff. In fact, they're not actually on a circuit network. That's just so I can see how much is in it. It's got 1,000 of each. So that'll be ready to go. What else? I think that is about everything. Okay. So, what are we going to do next? So, as I said, the next series is called 1 per minute. as the title implies, I am going to make one per minute. One of what, I hear you cry, figuratively? One of everything. So, I will be making one wooden chest per minute. It's easy. You can do that by hand. But I will also be making one iron chest, one steel chest, one storage tank, one construction robot, one locomotive, one tank, one empty heavy oil, well, one empty barrel, I guess, one full heavy oil barrow, one low density structure per minute, one iron gear wheel per minute, one high-tech science, one space science per minute, one rocket silo per minute, one artillery turret per minute, one nuke per minute. Everything in the game I will be making one per minute of. I have done the numbers, and it takes an awful lot of materials to do that. I was just going to boot up my other computer, which actually has the spreadsheet on it, of course. It's run out of battery, so let me just plug that in. Hopefully I'll be able to share some of those numbers with you this episode. If not, then we'll have to wait. But essentially, in order to make one of everything as an end product, you need... first of all, this is assuming that everything that can have productivity modules in it does. If you do it without productivity modules, then the numbers skyrocket. But you need something like 20 odd... Oh, no, I'll be able to tell you. My other computer's just turned on. Where is it? There it is. Okay, raw materials. We need 2.3 blue belts of coal. Actually, this may be the wrong... I was playing around with some other settings like marathon mode and what. Let me double check that I am looking at the right one, because this doesn't quite sound right off the top of my head. Come on, loading, loading, loading. Marathon mode is off. Yeah, so what I actually did was I basically wrote a program to work this out for me, and then pasted the results of that program into an Excel sheet. Yeah, this is better. Okay, so we don't need 2.3. We need 1.1, 1.2 compressed blue belts of just coal. That's doable. We need 10 belts of copper ore, 15 belts of iron ore, a little more than half a belt of stone, and we also have to consider that wood is also a resource in the game, so we're going to have to think of a way of getting 0.035 blue belts of wood. And one thing that I wonder how many people have already thought of is going to be an issue in this: fish is also a resource in the game. So I'm going to have to see if I can find a way of at least pseudo-automating fishing. But yes, so we'll need to make things like 706 iron plates per second, and it was 471 copper plates per second. We'll need to make... Surprisingly, you can do this with less than 2 compressed bolts of steel. That surprised me. But anyway, we'll get into the numbers. I'll do as much of the boring mathsy stuff between episodes as I can. It will follow a different format as well. The new series will follow a different format to this series. This series, most of the work was done on camera. The next series will be... most of the actual work will be done between episodes, or at the very least off camera, and then I will either do post commentary with a time lapse, or I will have pieces to camera. Not that I actually have an actual camera, you know what I mean, but I'll have pieces to camera sort of between bits of actual work, explaining what I'm doing next. Where am I going to put this is another question. So far I am thinking in this general area. So this is a bus that's 8, 16... this bus is about 32 wide, just that bit there. And I will need... got it somewhere here. I will need 30 compressed belts, well, 29.97, we'll call it 30 compressed belts of just copper cable. So this is going to be a very wide bus. Now yes, I could just do this with the logistics bots, that's boring. I will do a logistics bots base after this at some point, but this is going to be another bus. What I will... oh wow, excuse me. That came out of nowhere. Okay, yes, I'll have it in this area here. I will probably have it going left to right, because that way, you know, there's this stone deposit which is kind of in the way. I can landfill that. I can move the rails if I need to. That way nothing really gets in the way until this iron deposit here. And I can sort of take that whole space. So it'll probably be in this area here. I'll just build on top of that stone deposit. It's not as if I don't have enough stone around. 18 million, 40 million stone over there. Yes, we do have some nice big deposits out here. There's 34 million coal, 25 million iron. Down here we've got 57 million iron. Copper seems a little lackluster. There's copper around, but no like massive deposits. Still this one over here, the 11 million. 5.3. Hopefully we don't run out of copper. Okay, so yeah, that is my base. I hope you enjoyed the series. I hope you will continue to enjoy the next series. The next series will be a lot more actual work stuff, so I will doubt that I'll be able to keep up with the 1 episode a day. Instead of like 20 minutes worth of work, it will be probably closer to, I don't know, an hour's worth of work compressed into a 20-minute episode. But I will work something out. In the meantime, let's get this achievement. So let's go 1, 2, 3. So long and thanks for all the fish. Okay, and then that will start loading with a new satellite already. A new rocket, I should say. I haven't actually put the speed modules around it because as this part of the base is only designed for like 1 rocket every 500 seconds, which is... I haven't actually double checked this. As a last little thing, let me double check. How long does a rocket part take to make? A rocket part takes 3 seconds. And we have... So 3 seconds. Crafting speed of 0.4. So 3 divided by 0.4. Then a productivity of 40%. So divided by 1.4. So each rocket part takes 5.35 seconds on average, including the productivity. Sure. We need 100 rocket parts. That is more than 500 seconds. I do need some beacons around that. Okay, I'll leave them where they are. So, yes, I was wrong. This base is not yet finished. Let me just grab them and them. And I'll turn the base back on and make everything go to shit. So, I need to... Shouldn't need that many. I'll just put in one row like that. And power. Okay. Let's try that again. 3 times 3 divided by 3.4. This should be much better. Yeah, we're definitely going to get at least one within 500 seconds now. Anyway, that is that. I'm going to untrack that now. Yes, so I will see you in episode 1 of Factorio 1 per minute. In the meantime, I will say thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Just before I leave you, it occurred to me that I said I would have a little play with the artillery. So that is what I am doing now. I'm just driving to somewhere that's going to be a bit more fun to deploy it. I'm out this way. Let's see. And there. I reckon this will do. God damn it.